Okay, so welcome to part 2 of the Perpetual Traffic podcast. Let's just get straight into it, shall we? It's all about that first engagement and that first impression so that you really build that connection with your viewer, no matter whether they opt in or not, because the follow-up can be done by image ads all over the internet, including Facebook and Instagram, and but obviously across the whole of the Google Display Network as well. So it starts off a huge relationship that you can build for a long time.
You're listening to Perpetual Traffic with Keith Krance, Molly Pitman, and Ralph Burns.
Hey, this is Keith Krance, and welcome to episode number 25, which is part 2 of a 3-part series with Tom Breeze, who's one of the world's biggest authorities on YouTube video advertising. In fact, with most of his clients, he runs a performance-based agency where his company takes all the risk and only gets paid when they generate leads or sales for their clients. In the last episode, episode 24, Tom laid down the important groundwork for you to get a good understanding of the critical elements needed for successful YouTube ads and why YouTube is an incredible opportunity right now, as well as helping you understand the amazing targeting capabilities of YouTube and inside the AdWords platform. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, please go back and listen to episode 24 before you get into today's episode. That will really help you get more out of today's session. All right, now, at the end of the last episode, I also gave you an assignment with 2 tasks. Your assignment was to take an hour or so, sit down, and write down the top 3 deep desires that your target customers might have. Okay, list out 3 to 4 things that your potential customer would be jumping up and down about if they could achieve those needs or desires. And the second thing was to sit down and list out the top 5 to 7 fears, frustrations, or challenges that your ideal customer might have. Just think about those top 5 to 7 problems or challenges that your target audience lays awake at night wishing they had a solution for. And if you weren't able to do that, that's okay. Just think about that as you listen to today's session. That's really going to help you when it comes to outlining your first video ad and deciding on a topic or a premise for that advertorial video that we're going to be spending most of the time discussing on today's episode. This is the foundational video that you can use for all your video ad campaigns. And as you will soon hear, this foundational video can really be the catalyst for not just YouTube video ads, but Facebook and other platforms as well. And how it can also set the foundation for highly converting retargeting campaigns. And how you can use segments or splinters of that one video that you create and use it for several other campaigns. And on the next episode, Tom is going to be taking us through 3 real-life case studies of successful and highly profitable YouTube video ad campaigns in 3 different markets, okay, that you can model after and even use as a template for your own campaigns. On today's session, Tom will finish out his famous 4P's for creating successful YouTube campaigns, as well as taking a deep dive into the foundational advertorial video.
Obviously, the first P we were talking about was like the platform, understanding YouTube and how YouTube works. And then we talked about the second P, which is the person, how you can target people in a multitude of different ways. The third P is something we've actually renamed recently, and we call it pursuits now. And what I mean by that is the journey of the customer or the user, really. And this is something we pulled on earlier a little bit, and we talked a little bit about this. But I think a lot of people call it different things. So like people call it the path to purchase or behavioral dynamics or whatever that might be. But if you think about it, like when people go to YouTube, they're really in this state of research. In the good old days of like 20, 30 years ago before the internet, if we were to go and purchase, let's say, a car or a TV, we would have had to go down to the local store and speak to the salesperson, and they would sell what they have there and then. And if we see what we like, we'd buy it and hopefully would enjoy that particular product, so to speak. So say, for example, as a car, you would go down to your local dealership, they would recommend one of the cars, you'd buy it, and hopefully you'd enjoy that car. That's like a normal experience 25, 30 years ago. Whereas now, if we're thinking about buying a car, the first thing we'd do is we'll go online. We'd go online and start doing our research. We'll start looking at comparisons. What cars are right for us and the family, what cars are kind of going to be right for me, for example. We do all that research. And the beauty is that's where we should be advertising. It's what Google actually call the 0 moment of truth. It's like before any sort of transaction is about to take place, in that research phase, that's where you can start advertising. And that's what YouTube is really. It's like the perfect kind of place for people to go and do their research. They look at videos of different products. They start doing their reviews of them. They want to learn more about the products, etc. And that's what YouTube is there for, really. Huge amounts of content like that. So if you get into the viewer's mindset at that point, when they go into YouTube, they're looking to do a bit more research, you're not necessarily expecting them to buy straight away. You're not necessarily expecting them to take action straight away. But what you can do is you can get your brand in front of them and deliver like some sort of really good experience. And we'll talk about the videos that you could potentially run in just a second. But that first touch point, which is just getting your brand in front of them and giving them a good experience of your brand, is really, really important. Now, of course, we're still looking to get a lead from that, or we're looking to get a customer from that ad. But if they don't convert at that point, it's not the end of the world, because with video remarketing or YouTube remarketing, anyone that views our videos, either organically or maybe as an ad, we can put them into a remarketing list. And it means you can follow up that list. And you can say, right, those people that watched video ad 1, like this video where I gave them amazing content, and those people that watched that but didn't convert, I want to advertise to those people. And let's give it like a second attempt. And with my second video this time, I might, instead of just having like a branding piece or a good content piece, I might now show them, kind of like try and get a bit more interest from them, maybe a bit more desire from them. And potentially I might run that second ad, which is like a testimonial video of some sort. So you're really kind of showing how good your product is in the second video. That's their second experience of your brand, so to speak. Now, at that point, a few more people might convert. But those people that watch that second ad and don't convert, you might follow up with another ad this time. And so you're trying to build this like perfect customer journey. But at the same time, it's a very scientific method in terms of increasing the ROI. And so you're segmenting all those people. You're saying, right, you're going to watch one video. If they convert, that's great. If they don't convert, they watch a second video. If those people convert, that's great. If they don't convert, they see a third video. Now, if those people convert after the third video, that's great. And maybe you do a bit more of an urgency or scarcity video at that point. Maybe you say, okay, here's a discount code for our website, for example. And if you log in today or sign in or register today, with this coupon code, you'll get access to this deal for 20% off for 6 months or something along those lines. But the real beauty of that really is that when you run that last ad, if they still don't take action, they've seen 3 ads of you now, you know they were interested, they're motivated, they searched you in the first place. But if they saw 3 ads from you and they still don't convert, you can put them onto a list where you say, right, let's not spend any more money on those people because they're just not going to convert. So it means that you can have a much better user experience, but it means really from us as an agency perspective, we don't start wasting money. We start saying, right, those people that are never going to buy, we stop advertising to them. And we're giving it the very best go at trying to get someone to turn from a viewer into a customer. And it's just like a really elegant way of marrying up the two of the art and the science of the advertising. So that's a pursuit that we always kind of like try and build now with every single client. And it's just the power of the YouTube platform allows you to do that. So that's the third P of the pursuit and the customer journey pre-opt-in. The fourth P that we focus on is the promotion, which is the ads themselves. And I think, we were talking earlier, weren't we, about like the different types of ads.
How do I make these ads? What kind of video should I do? You're listening right now. You're like, wait a second. I want to know what video I should do and what I should put in it. Tell me what to do. The problem is if you don't understand this important foundation information, then you're just going to be wasting your money. And so this is really, really important stuff. I'm super glad that you're going deep into the psychology behind this, because this is why you're able to continue running ads every single day with your clients, and a lot of people aren't. And it's similar to the stuff that we're teaching on Facebook. So let's get into the good stuff.
So I'll start with the one that I think that most people should try and create if they can, which is an advertorial. So we talked earlier about the fact that people go to YouTube to search for information about wanting to know, do, or buy something. So you want to give them that experience, like match your message with their search, right? So say, for example, someone's searching a particular keyword and they're looking for information on something, give them that information. Now, I'd normally say go for a 5-minute video if you can. And in that video, which we call an advertorial, you want to provide really good value, maybe like 3 tips or 3 strategies or 5 strategies. You're looking to try and give someone value and get them to engage with you and your video and almost become indoctrinated in the way you think and your brand, etc. Because at that point where they're searching, they're motivated. If you say at the start of your video, this is a 5-minute video, you say, in this video, and then you basically say, kind of give them a bit of a claim to say, I'm going to show you the 5 steps to whatever it might be. Okay. You're basically saying to the viewer, I'm going to cover exactly what you're looking for. And so that means that viewer is going to want to stay around for each of those 5 steps. Now, this actually comes from a lot of research that I did from Claude Hopkins, who's like an advertising kind of god that's no longer with us, of course, and also Ogilvy as well. And Ogilvy used to do a lot of articles in newspapers. They'd say, I put 38 things that we've learned since running our agency. And of course, if you're interested a little bit in promoting your business, you've now got like 38 little paragraphs of tips that he would teach you that they've learned. And each one is amazing. It's like a little bit of gold dust every single time you read it. And the beauty is, at the end of it, it's just a really simple call to action. Now, obviously, if you are reading a newspaper, you've got time, right? You've got time to sit there. You're probably on your commute or whatever. And when you pick up a newspaper, you tend to have like a good 10, 15 minutes in order to do that activity. On YouTube, it's not the same story. People are like, really want to get quick to the point and are getting distracted constantly. So you can't do 38 tips in one video. But what you could do is like these 3 tips or these 5 tips and provide value. And we're just seeing the results from these advertorial videos where you're providing this value up front are just working so well. Obviously, the content has to be good, but you can provide that content. You can kind of like have a bit of credibility at the start of the video, show them a bit of a kind of a soft call to action to say, hey, look, if you're going to like this content of this video, I've got something amazing for you that you're going to want to opt in for, and show them exactly what that is. But then you might go into like the 5 tips that you've got for them. Give that amazing content, really nice and concise, so the viewer learn something, they get what they came for. And then you say like, okay, at the end of the video, you have a much stronger call to action to say, hey, look, if you've liked this stuff and you want to learn more and you want to learn something else that's going to help you even more, then come back to my website to find out more. And that as a video, as an advertorial video, it works incredibly well. It sits really well with myself and all my clients because it's like you're providing value into the marketplace. But it's a really useful video to use. It would work really well by itself, but it works really well in conjunction with remarketing those people that watch that video but don't convert. Because those people might feel like, yeah, I've got some really good advice in this video, but they didn't convert for whatever reason. When you follow those people up with different ads, they'll convert because they've already got a really good experience of your brand.
And real quick, if you remember, if you've listened into episode 3 where we talked about Facebook video ads, I talked about content with call to action, which is one of my favorite types of videos where you're providing value and then you have a soft call to action either at the end or throughout. And that's exactly what Tom's advertorial is. It's one of my favorite types of videos that we're running right now in Facebook. And I love it because it works just as well or better even in YouTube, especially if it's, if they're intent based.
There was an article that came out by Leventhal in, I think it was 69, I think it came out. Not that really matters too much, but the content was like, if you use pain to try and motivate someone, so they did a lot of like weight loss studies, and they'd say the doctors or the nurses would talk to their patients and say, look, you really have to lose weight for reasons for like heart-related issues, diabetes, etc., and would lay it on thick, so to speak. Then they would see if that person would actually go and do anything about their weight issues. And then what they did is they had a group B where they'd use exactly the same thing. They would say, look, you've got to kind of like start losing weight because of the heart problems and diabetes and et cetera, really lay it on thick. And then what they'd do is to say, and I've got this little pamphlet here which gives you 3 steps in order to kind of change the way you live to kind of start losing weight. And it was an obvious thing. It was like, eat more healthily, do a bit of exercise and whatever. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what the tips were. But what they found is that if you just motivate someone and leave it at that, no one takes action because you're pulling on their pain and they don't know what to do about it, and they almost go into denial because they don't know necessarily what to do. They haven't been guided by that position of authority, and as a result, they just don't do anything, and the problem gets worse because they want to try and ignore it completely. Whereas what Leventhal found was that if you kind of go with that approach of lay it on thick with the pain and the motivation, and then give them like a 3-step plan, nearly everyone took that plan. Everyone took action because the motivation was enough. And then it's like, right, you just need to do these 3 things. So that's kind of like what inspired to do like these tip ideas or these strategy ideas is like, if people are really wanting something enough to go to YouTube and search it out, if you just give them a 3-step plan, what ends up happening is they take action and they want to take the next step. And it works like that every single time. It's just the videos are really, really effective because of the fact that you're giving first. It's like that Cialdini principle of like reciprocity. It's like, if you go first, they almost feel like they owe you one. And so when it comes to the call to action, they're like, yeah, that's fine, I'll do it. And it just works really, really well. So what we tend to do is like, we'll show those advertorial videos, and those people that watch them and don't convert, we'll follow up with those viewers with remarketing. And the way we'll do that is we'll normally run pre-roll ads. So like 22-second ads, we call them 22-second ads because what we'll tend to do is like on YouTube, you pay for when someone watches past 30 seconds of your in-stream ad. Okay, this is like the pre-roll ad. So that means that if someone watches like 29 seconds of your pre-roll ad and then decides to press the skip ad button, it won't cost you anything, which is ideal. But you'll get charged when someone watches past 30 seconds. So what we do in the video itself is we give a really good pitch, really good crafted message that can fit into 22 seconds, following up those people that have watched that kind of 5-minute advertorial video. And we say, hey, look, if you want to go and grab this particular offer, for example, simply click here right now. And then we'll give it enough time. That's why it's 22 seconds. Finish the pitch by 22 seconds. Then it kind of like just goes into, almost looks like the video's paused. And during that time, it kind of forces the viewer to either click skip ad or click the button to go back to the website. And that works incredibly well as well. But it works exceptionally well because if you were just to run pre-roll ads constantly all day long, you annoy people, right? We've all had that experience on YouTube where we just get followed around with kind of like, or just get these video ads that's constantly bombarding us. Whereas when it's someone that we've already got to know, like, and trust, and they've given us value first, and then we're seeing their in-stream ads, we're so much more likely to convert because it's like, oh yeah, I forgot to do that. Or, oh, that sounds good. I didn't notice that last time. And all of a sudden they click and they convert. And that works really, really well. So running an advertorial video followed by an in-stream ad can work really well. But something we also do is the third video ad, which is basically just like, as you said there, Keith, what did you call it? You called it content and call to action, did you say?
Yep.
Yeah. Perfect. So it's a very similar thing. Like we say, just give like one piece of like nugget of information that's really, really useful. In Google, they call it keyword dynamic insertion, which is where based on someone's search term, say, for example, they've looked up public speaking skills or something, you would have an ad that would show public speaking skills or want to learn your public speaking skills. Whereas if they typed in presentation skills, you would have ads that show presentation skills as the keyword. And that's called keyword dynamic insertion or KDI. You can do a similar thing with your videos. So if you cover off almost like every single keyword that someone might type in, it means you might have like 20 different ads that are running, but like you have 20 little tips about how to improve your public speaking skills or presentation skills, and you only show for those types of keywords. So it means your message in your video really connects with the viewer because that's what they're looking for at that moment in time. Gets a really high click-through rate, gets a really high view rate, and you provide that one tip or that one really useful piece of content, and then just have a really good call to action at the end of it, and they work incredibly well as well. Use them and follow up with pre-roll ads and in-stream ads. Yeah, it works really, really well. And so we tend to use those 3 different types of videos, but we try and use it in a pursuit, if that makes sense. The second P, like what we talked about there, like the customer journey, it's like get a bit of brand awareness in the first video and try and get the call to action with the advertorial. Then you would follow up with maybe like a building in more desire, more interest with a tip video or something on those lines. And then finally, if they still haven't converted, hit them up with some in-stream ads. And just having that journey means the user experience is so much better. You're not bombarding people with ads all the time. And it just flows nicely into this like process of like you're taking a very scientific approach, but the creative is behind it as well.
I love it. I love the system. I love the template. I've got a couple questions. One, if somebody said, hey, I can only create one really good video. I've got this video guy that I'm paying to come out and shoot. What's going to be the number one video that you would tell them to take? And then the second thing is if they could only create 2, what would be the advice you would give somebody?
So if I had to create just one video ad, I would go for the advertorial ad. Reason being is because obviously I want to just provide value first. And I think that if you just started with one ad and you could think of like 5 tips you'd have for your viewers, that would be amazing in terms of getting your value in front of people. And they would probably want to rewatch it and again if it's that good, and they're going to convert. They're going to come back to the website, and it's going to be that really good user experience. The other reason I would create the advertorial video is because they work really well on Facebook as well. So I know, Keith, you've ran some advertorial videos as well, and it's kind of like if you provide that value up front, even though it's a longer video ad, it tends to work on both platforms really effectively, both YouTube and also Facebook. And this is a bit of a cheat answer as well, but if you do create your advertorial video and you had like 5 really good strategies or 5 really good tips, you could then basically just take those out and use them as individual tips and just have a call to action at the end of it. So once you've created a 5-step advertorial video, perhaps you can probably just create some really quick content and call to action videos, as you call it. I call it a hybrid video, but yeah, you can use that original content and then just repurpose it for lots of smaller ads as well.
Absolutely, I love that. So basically, you create the advertorial, and if you want to have the machine, you want to have that 22-second pre-roll remarketing video, whether you're doing an advertorial or you're doing 20 little tips or 5 little tips or whatever. Having that 22-second on the back end will really help close up and loop people back in and get more conversions. But I love, recording a 5-step or something like that advertorial, and then you can actually turn those into 5 more little mini tips with a call to action. And then if you take that to like something like Facebook, Facebook doesn't have keywords, right? We can't target people based on searches, but we can target people based on audiences. So if you're in an industry where you might be able to like segment out, we talked a little bit about this in the last episode, but about segmenting out, calling out people, like some specifically for bloggers, specifically for people into Facebook, specifically into certain, sciatica, lower back pain, those types of things. You could have like the intro, you could have like 5 tips. They could all kind of be similar, but maybe at the beginning is like a specific interest that you're calling out. In that case, you'd make one main video and then you'd have 5 different intros, and then you could have those 5 different versions running in 5 different core groups of audiences. So you can think about this stuff that Tom's teaching in different ways. That's what I like to do, is figure out how can you use what he is teaching for your business. You might not be able to implement exactly what he's saying, but you might be able to. Or if not, how can you tweak it? Or how can you take what he is talking about and just get momentum, right? Create that one advertorial and have that be the backbone. And the great thing about advertorials too, right, Tom, is that it doesn't have to necessarily have the perfect script, because you're just teaching stuff you already know.
Exactly, yeah. It's good if you can get it like really concise and down to 5 minutes, which isn't easy. I know that a lot of my clients sometimes struggle to keep it down to 5 minutes, and even I do myself as well. So that's always a challenge. But the other thing that's great about this as well is that with an advertorial video, you can take a remarketing pixel off the actual video view before they even come back to the website, right? And the beauty of that is that then you can kind of take that remarketing list, and you don't have to wait to get back in front of them on YouTube again. You can get in front of them on the GDN, the Google Display Network, meaning that kind of covers covers 92% of internet users using the Google Display Network. So you can show like image ads, you can even show your video ad, but you can actually show a lot of image ads and text ads all over the internet. But they've already got to see you, got to hear what you're like, got to kind of feel what you're about as a business, understand, like they've spent like 5 minutes with you, getting to know, like, and trust you. So when they see an image ad of you on a different website altogether, they'll immediately connect with it because they'll see your face or they'll see your logo again. And I think a lot of people don't always look at that as like their personality or their logo becomes important at this stage, because we know that the follow-up is really important. And if they recognize that brand, they're much more likely to click those links again. So if they watched the advertorial video, came back to the website, but didn't opt in, for example, obviously when they're at the opt-in page, they're going to fire off a number of different pixels if you've got like your Facebook pixel there.
Yep.
So it's all about that first engagement and that first impression, so that you really build that connection with your viewer, no matter whether they opt in or not, because the follow-up can be done by image ads all over the internet, including Facebook and Instagram, and but obviously across the whole of the Google Display Network as well. So it starts off a huge relationship that you can build for a long time.
Okay, so we're going pretty long right now, so we're going to have to wrap this up, Tom. And I know you've got 3 great case studies you're going to walk us through in 3 different industries, where you're going to kind of, I think, take us through this customer journey and the types of videos that you created or you had your clients create to get great results. So once again, just to recap. So basically, Tom talked about the 4P's. Number 1 is platform, okay? On YouTube video ads, the main focus is the true view, platform within Google, which is in display, and then the in stream, which is the pre-roll videos. Okay. And then you have person. And in that case, that's who your target audience is. Keyword, placement, demographics, location. Or is it a remarketing list? Is it a similar audience created off your remarketing list? Or are you using Google's new Google Match, which is similar to custom audiences? You can advertise by weather and time of day and stuff like that. Okay. Number 3 is pursuit. Okay, he talked about the 0 moment of truth. Like that time on YouTube a lot of times is that research phase right before somebody is about to make a purchase. They have that intent. And you know what? Even if they might not necessarily be searching for your specific type of product or service or business, they're still in that intent mode. You know, they're in that search kind of mode, I feel like. And so sometimes that's why leads that are coming from YouTube might cost you more money in some cases than Facebook, and might not have as much volume, but they can be a lot higher quality and make you a lot more money on the back end. So, and then number 4 is promotion, which is the type of video ad. So he's got the advertorial, which is a 5-minute video, pre-roll remarketing videos, which is like a 22-second video. And then you have these like little tips with specific keywords, like a kind of like the mini content with call to action, which is like a 90-second, maybe 60-second to 2-minute video. Is that a good little recap of the 4P's?
Nailed it, mate. That's better than I've ever done. So yeah, that's great.
I was taking notes the whole way. So I love this stuff. And there's already some stuff that we're going to be implementing from it. So if you're listening right now, I hope you took great notes. I hope you're ready to implement on at least focus on getting the outline built for that 5-minute video, because that can really be the foundation for all your campaigns, not only in YouTube, but also on Facebook. And we are going to be talking, getting into more details and more specifics about Facebook video ads on some future episodes. But on the next episode, on the very next episode, Tom is coming back to talk about some specific case study examples. And so I think if by listening to this and then really listening to real life examples, I think that's going to give you a great foundation of something you can work with and take and use in your business. So once again, Tom, dude, thanks a lot for coming on. I appreciate you coming on, bringing all this value, and we can't wait to talk some more on the next one.
It's going to be great fun.
So hopefully you found part 2 equally as powerful as part 1, and we've got still one more part to go, so you should be very excited. But as always, please do leave your comments below. I want to know more about what you found really useful, what you found really insightful from that part 2 of the interview. And so leave your comments below, and then when you're ready, you can move on to part 3. But of course, if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you do that as well by clicking the other button that you can see now. Click that, and it's going to subscribe you to the channel so you can get more videos just like this one as well.